everybody.
Hello.
Welcome to the Macabre Podcast universe.
You are?
Micah.
I'm Jordan.
Really?
Yeah, and we exist to prove people wrong when they say sequels are never better than the originals.
Yes, and we're finishing. We're guess what? We're finishing another series today.
Mm-hmm.
Denzel Washington's The Equalizer,
Mm-hmm.
and we have an important update at the end of this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's going to be exciting. You're really going to want to not miss the important update at the end of this episode. Hey, so we've talked Equalizer 1, we've talked 2, and today we're talking 3.
Yep. Both of ours first time.
Both of our first time, and this was a movie that was weird.
It was not good.
It was supremely weird. I'm not so positive that Denzel Washington just didn't want to have a tax write-off of a vacation to Italy.
Mm-hmm.
Because, well, frankly, if this movie just had him and he gets to Italy and then, like, he doesn't do any equalizing, I think I would have loved this.
Yeah.
But it's like the movie's trying to do that and he's equalizing.
Yeah.
Which I get what they're trying to do. Out front, no, I did not like this movie. Are there things I like about it? In theory, yes, there are.
Okay.
I like what it is trying to do. I don't think it accomplishes what it tries to do.
No.
So we'll talk about that. Shall we get into who made it?
Yeah.
So we got it directed by Antoine. After Equalizer 2, he makes Infinity, The Guilty, Emancipation, and then this movie.
That's a lot.
I know, the guy just puts out movies.
Yeah. Maybe he should spend a little bit more time on one movie at a time.
Maybe he should. His next movie, no, it's written by Richard Wenk. Wenk.
I don't think Wank is right.
I don't think it's Wank either. But then we have, let's see, I think we have a third person on the cinematography. Yeah, this is a third different person on cinematography. And this is
Okay.
Robert Richardson.
Okay.
And I think you're going to be surprised when you hear the movies that this guy has shot.
Okay.
Because he shot JFK, The Aviator, Hugo, Inglourious Bastards, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and
How come this movie looks like crap?
Oh, Robert Richardson, I believe his name is, not Robert Richardson.
This movie looks awful.
I don't know.
You're telling me that this is set in Italy, and so your idea is let's make it look drab. Italy, famous for looking drab.
Yeah, I don't know what... this is my number one complaint with the movie.
Yeah.
Because I also think... So you have this movie where the idea is he's finally finding a place to settle down, even though he settled down in Boston and loves it. But it's like he's finding somewhere else.
Yeah.
And then you set it up and it looks uglier than Boston.
Yeah.
Like a place in Sicily looks uglier than Boston. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
And it's very clear that they shot on location, which I love.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it is very clear these are not sets.
Well, yeah, he needed a vacation.
Yeah. And so it's like you went to all this trouble and then you decided to, like, desaturate everything and make it, like, kind of a dark blue?
Yeah.
What? Italy? On the coast?
Yeah.
We've been there.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like this.
Nope.
It looks nice.
It's very colorful. The buildings are literally painted in a variety of colors.
And so here's what I think is odd. We're living in this weird time where, like, I'd like to believe that it's getting better, but it seems like movies are like, hey, the darker things are, the more less contrast there is, the better they look for some reason, is like the on high, like, ultimatum, and desaturate things. That's like, so everything is like less defined and less colorful. And we've been harping on this for years. But I was thinking about it and I'm like, throughout time, action movies look so many different types of ways,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you have, like, in the 2000s, I feel like if you put on an action movie in the 2000s, early 2000s, it's going to look terrible.
Yeah.
Like that, like, dark, or that light blue, like, aqua filter on everything. But it was, like, doing something.
Yeah.
That's what I'm realizing is it's like, well, it was still like a filmmaker attempting to do something.
Yeah.
And it looks a certain way. And now it's just like, but why does everything look the same
Is
and have
it
no...
because of they're just thinking about streaming? And so the less contrast it is.
Well, see, this is also what I don't understand is we hear all the time that Netflix has like kind of a specific guideline that it tells filmmakers like you have to shoot things a certain way, and it's for like streaming and so that people can see it on their phones and stuff. But I can't see a dark, no contrast, desaturated image on my phone more than I can see a colorful, vibrant image on my phone.
Yeah.
So I don't understand the thinking on any level.
No.
It just makes no sense to me. I cannot wrap my head around why this is happening. And there just seems to be no... I mean, if you watch a movie from like the 90s or 80s, even if it's a bad movie, you can still like see what is happening. In this movie, I could see what's happening, but it's just absolutely the wrong choice.
So boring to look at.
It's crazy. And I don't know why we equate like literal darkness with material content.
Huh?
Like, why if something is dark and material, does it need to literally be dark?
Oh.
Like every single one of what's his name? Quentin Tarantino's movies are colorful.
Yeah.
And I can tell what is happening.
Yeah.
But for some reason, like none of them that are it's just like his movies are so dark.
I know.
Thematically.
Yeah.
And I just cannot like wrap my head around it.
I can't either. I don't know. I really don't even know what to say anymore.
So the music is by Marcelo Zarvos, and he did Remember Me, Jodie Foster and Mel Gibson's The Beaver, Won't Back Down, Dark Waters, and May December last year.
Okay.
Which has a really great score.
The music?
Yeah, the music.
I thought it was kind of interesting in this movie.
I did think it was interesting. I liked the music in this movie.
Yeah.
The movie has a $70 million budget, and do you remember, first movie domestically makes 101. Second movie makes 102. Do you want to guess how much this movie made domestically?
It can't have made more than that.
Because it would be crazy if it made 103, right?
It doesn't.
No, it made 92. And then worldwide, it made 185.
This came out in theaters?
Yeah.
I was just, the scene where Dakota Fanning was talking to one of the like henchmen. This is kind of late in the movie, but when she is talking to him, I just was thinking, you're telling me that people paid money to come see this, to watch this scene that's taking place.
Yeah.
It is so boring.
Yeah, Dakota's not doing so good in this movie.
But it's not just, I don't even think it's necessarily her fault.
Yeah.
This movie sucks.
Well, let me keep going with this. 185 worldwide. Denzel Washington was paid $20 million, apparently.
Whatever.
And Dakota is back with Washington after 19 years.
Doesn't really even matter.
I know.
Because of how bad this movie is.
I know.
So I feel sorry for people who were that sold them on the movie. I feel sorry for them.
Yeah. And then as far as the future is concerned, Fuqua has a couple of ideas.
He does.
He thought they could maybe de-age Denzel Washington for a prequel. That's a possibility. Or, and I think this idea I would love, is casting John David Washington as a younger Robert McCall or Michael B. Jordan. But
Antoine Fuqua sucks, right?
I mean, I'm torn because I feel like he's in his zone. He's doing his thing. And you have things like Equalizer 2, or I would even say Equalizer 1. But then the guy, puts out
Infinite.
Yeah. And he's sometimes not that good.
I would say if you look at it, most of the time he's not good.
Yeah, he's got Training Day.
It's fine. That's one more.
Yeah. I mean, they can't all be, knockout directors. You know what I mean? Some of them are more varied than some of our favorites. But I'm not going to sit here and defend him.
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot to like about him, and I think there's a lot to dislike about his movies. One thing back to the lighting conversation, is I thought about John Wick, of course, which of course we know came out around the same time.
Mm-hmm.
the first movie and this first movie. And it's just interesting because I was thinking about John Wick 4 and how I think you really need to, if you're going to shoot on location, you need to let the location inform how you shoot it.
Absolutely. That seems so easy.
Yeah,
like no brainer.
Yeah, don't impose like your vision. Let the vision be imposed upon you. And so, because at the end of the day, it's like, why wasn't this movie just shot in a studio if it looks like this?
Yeah.
And so I was just thinking about how Paris and John Wick is so vibrant, and it's like the city itself gets to. I mean, this dumb expression that we make fun of, but it's like
the fifth character.
It's the fifth character.
I mean, they even
Wick
do
4.
that in Rome. That huge last sequence taking place in the Roman Forum.
In
John Wick 2, sorry.
Oh, John Wick 2.
When they're in the Roman Forum and
Yeah.
they're actually shooting there, right? Which I don't get how that worked.
I am like completely blanking on what you're talking about, but
the giant party
yeah.
in the ruins?
Oh, yeah. I don't think that's the Roman Forum, but it is ruins.
We talked about this. We argued about this on the podcast.
Okay.
I think it is. And whatever. It doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
But it takes place in Rome, so there's ruins.
Yeah.
And they showcase it in a very interesting way.
Yeah. All that to say, just let the place inform how you're going to shoot it. Okay?
Kind of feels like film school 101.
Are we going to shoot a movie, Jordan?
No.
We need to prove ourselves.
No.
Okay, so can you tell me about them actors?
Oh, right.
Yeah, that's part of what you have to do. And remember, folks, we have an exciting update coming later this episode, so you're going to want to stick around for that.
So we have covered Dakota Fanning before. Twilight.
Okay, wait. Oh, Twilight. Okay.
But what is going on?
Yes. Let's talk about it.
Why? Well, I guess let's look at it.
Because it felt like in 2019, she was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and it was like, okay, Dakota's about to make the comeback, right?
She was in Ocean's 8.
Yeah, she was in Ocean's 8. I think she was...
I don't remember anything from that movie, thankfully.
I don't remember who she was or what she did in that movie, but she was in it, yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, so 2019, she's in Once Upon a Time. She's in another thing that no one's seen. And then in 2020, something no one's seen. She is in that show Alienist, The Alienist, with Danny Bruhl and Lucas Haas.
Okay.
Luke Evans.
Okay.
Lucas Haas is the other
Inception guy. Right?
Yep.
Okay.
I do kind of feel like maybe that show took her away from a lot of I just feel like there was a time when she went away for a long time.
I thought that
I do think that there was a big break between child acting and adult acting.
Yeah.
And I don't care to go that far back to find out. But
well, this is like remember Chloe Grace Moretz was in Equalizer 1, so we have kind of a child actor thing going on here in this series.
And that kid from the last movie, he probably was a kid at one time.
Oh, as far as I know, all of the people in these movies were once children.
But I just feel like she was in that show, but it seems like she's kind of been working throughout that too. But then she's in the First Lady show on Showtime.
Yeah.
Some voice acting in something, and then Equalizer. Man, it's weird.
Yeah.
And then she's in Watchers this year, which did poorly.
Right. But I think that's a good move.
It.
That's a good move, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, because you were kind of like, what's she trying to do? Because sometimes when you look at an actor, you can kind of see a trajectory.
Yeah.
And it seems like she is just wading in the water.
Feels like Elle Fanning is making better decisions than her.
Yeah, but then at the same time, it's like, I don't know what she's doing right now.
Well, I think she's done a lot of modeling and like spokesperson for brands lately.
Okay.
I that's where I feel like I've seen her is for makeup and perfume lately.
Well, and as far as I'm concerned, if you're not a movie star, you're not a star. Okay? So it's like when she stops making movies, she doesn't exist to me anymore. That's how it works, okay?
And that's just for women.
No, that's for men too. That's
kidding.
for men too.
I am just surprised.
Yeah.
And this is such a nothing performance.
It's
But it's also such a nothing character.
it's a nothing character. It's not her lines are not written well and stuff. But I was like, we have seen these same scenes in 2 other movies, directed by the same person, written by the same person, and they were performed better. I'm a little like, does she still have the juice? I don't know.
I don't know either, man.
Because the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was a nice scene. She kind of popped, but that's a Tarantino movie.
Although she had been acting for so long around that time before then, it felt like, whoa, she's back.
Yeah,
She's doing this weird thing.
yeah, and she's in one scene. Like it's not the hardest thing in the world to do that. I don't think when you have Tarantino behind the camera, you know, and Robert Richardson, the same guy behind the camera that's behind this movie.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it's a little disappointing because I kind of expect more. I want a little more from Dakota.
Yeah. Eugenio Mastrandria. Nope. He plays the cop guy of the town and the dad.
He was good.
Yeah, he was good. He's also in From Scratch. A-Cab. There's a movie called that.
What is it called?
All Cops Are Bastards.
Oh, A-Cab. Is that what it stands for, or does it stand for something else?
No, it's what it says. It's A-Cab. All Cops Are Bastards. That's interesting.
Wait, when did that come out?
That came out in 2012.
Whoa, okay. I thought that like originated in 2020, but I guess it's been around for a while.
Very little. He's not in much else.
Okay.
David Denman plays Frank Conroy. That is Roy from The Office.
Okay. His name's David Denman?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
That should be easy to remember.
He looks like a David Denman.
He's in Mayor of Easttown as well. Oh, yeah, he was in Brightburn.
Oh, yeah.
So what?
Was he the mayor, or was someone else the mayor of Easttown?
He would be the dad, wouldn't he? Oh, for Mayor of Easttown?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think her name is Mayor in the show. I don't think it has anything to do with the mayor.
It was like some kind of title. I don't care because I'm never going to watch it.
Yeah, no, I don't. I'm pretty sure, and this will be funny if anyone's watch it. And guess what? Don't tell me. I don't want to know. I think that her name is Mayor.
Okay. We'll let time. I don't know. Who cares? Gaia Scodalaro plays Amina.
Okay,
Yeah. She's in That Dirty Black Bag.
Oh, man.
You, Me, and the Apocalypse.
Okay.
Promises. And stuff.
Okay.
Dr. Enzo Mauricio is played by Remo Girone. He's in Ford v Ferrari as Enzo Ferrari.
Oh, he plays Adam Driver's part in Ferrari.
Oh, okay. Live by Night and a lot of Italian
Okay,
stuff.
so he's making a nice little career for himself.
I think he's been around the block.
Yeah.
Andrea Scarduzio plays Vincent Quaranta, who's like the guy in charge of the mob.
Mm-hmm.
So he's in Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning.
Okay. Maybe he's just henchman guy number 5 or something like that.
Well, to scroll and find it would take too long, but he's the wrong something, but not the wrong Missy. He's also in The Crown, Genius.
Okay.
And stuff.
Been around the block a little bit.
And then let's just find. Where's the guy that plays his brother?
Yeah.
Loading.
I don't want to edit, Jordan.
I know.
I really don't want to edit.
I'm looking.
The people are here. They want to know what the little brother's name is.
It's a big little town. You know what I mean?
It's a big little town.
I guess we're not going to talk about him.
Really?
I can't find him. He must not have a picture.
Really? But he's in the movie, and he actually does a pretty good job. I'd be surprised if his career has just this movie in it.
Was his name Marco?
Maybe.
Played by Andrea Dodero.
I don't know.
I think this is him.
Okay.
He's in Italian, a lot, like only Italian stuff.
Okay. He did seem very Italian.
Didn't he? What gave it away? The talking?
It was the talking, yeah. Yeah. So you're done with all that. Okay. So now I think some of you listening, and if you're not a regular listener, I feel like this will be an easy thing to just be like, oh, brother. But I think that these movies, I think this is just a conceptual thing we have to talk about for a moment before getting into it, is that conceptually, I think these movies are very at odds with themselves
Yeah.
because, and I think it really popped in this movie.
Yeah.
These movies are ultra violent. I actually think in this movie there were a couple of scenes that I thought were like
It was
Saw
stupid.
level.
It was
A
stupid.
Saw level
Yeah.
intense.
I'm sorry. I know you
yeah.
don't want to edit. Do you think you could run in and give her binkies that she threw out of the crib?
Okay. So there were a couple scenes in this that I felt like could have passed in a Saw movie.
Yeah.
Because of their extreme violence. And the other two movies have been extremely violent. I love a good violence, especially an action, revenge-y type of thing. But I do think it's interesting that we have this righteous character who is the equalizer. He equalizes things. And you get characters who are like, hey, are you a good man or a bad man? And he says, I don't know. And then they just don't explore what that is. And I really think in this movie in particular, the things that he does do not justify who he is hurting.
I feel like the first movie was funny enough the best representation of the violence because I think it showed resourcefulness, and that's what made the kills creative.
Yeah.
And then these next two movies, but especially this one, it's like you're just throwing some extra stank on these kills. Because when it's showing him,
that's a great way to put it.
Later in the movie, we get the POV of him killing all those guys in the villa, and he's like, this person is already dead, and then you continue to like stab a knife in their head. They're dead. You shot him in the face.
Yeah.
The stuff like that happened, and it just does not, like you said, it just doesn't ring true.
Yeah,
it's not fun or creative if anyone gets that.
I'm looking at it and I'm going, this is a sadistic man.
Yeah.
And yes, he is, and I know it's like, we shouldn't take some movies too seriously, but I do think because they bring up the like good and bad, I think it's worth discussing.
Yeah.
That the movies are kind of at odds with themselves. He's trying to save the helpless, but in doing so, he's being like a sadistic serial killer.
Yeah. I mean, the people of the town, they wouldn't want someone like that living there.
No. In this movie, he shoves a guy's head. He takes a revolver and punches it through a guy's head and shoots another man with it. Now, do I want to see that? Absolutely, I want to see that. Do I want to see Denzel do that? Absolutely, I do. But that is that is someone who has a broken brain who does something like that.
Yeah, I guess it's just it doesn't feel like the character that they've created because it's like, so he worked for the FBI or the CIA or whatever.
Yeah.
He's killed a lot of people. That was his job. He had to be resourceful about it. But I feel like I just can't help but think of, I think it's especially in John Wick 1, it's very interesting that how he shoots people.
Yeah.
Which is like, you didn't think it could be interesting, but they made it interesting.
Right.
Or I think he always does like a shot in the chest and a shot in the head.
Yeah.
He is doing kill shots.
Yeah.
And this is just like, this is just slice some people up and basically rummaging around their insides.
Well, and I think, again, the John Wick comparison is just so easy to make.
Yeah.
But I do think it's like, well, you have John Wick, and yes, he's a sadistic serial killing maniac, but it's like, he's just on a quest for revenge. He's not out to like rescue people. He's not out to like equalize things. So when, I mean, it's like when we found out, so at the beginning of this movie, to talk about the movie now, at the beginning of this movie, we find all this carnage of someone who has like destroyed this vineyard. And we find out that it's because Denzel was going there because someone stole this guy's pension and he like tracked it down.
What? Okay.
And that funded a terrorist situation.
Full disclosure, I didn't pay attention to any of that stuff. I do not care. What interest do these people have in stealing one man's pension?
So
America.
I think this works. Works because I would think that the implication would be they stole pensions from like people all over the globe. Okay. And one person contacted Robert McCall.
Okay.
And was like, hey, can you equalize this? And so he does, but instead of like, oh, let me go figure it out and find it, he just brutally murders everybody.
Which I'm sure to him, he's researching all of this and just uncovers
Yeah.
this huge cartel
Right.
that has been doing a lot of bad for a long time. So I guess he takes it upon himself to provide more justice than he was hired to do.
Right.
I guess.
It's just a little bit wild because
Yeah.
I do think like,
I think what makes it hard too.
yeah.
This first scene I understand is effective, everyone's already dead.
Yeah.
We're seeing the carnage. But sometimes it's kind of hard because we didn't see any of the bad guys do anything yet. That's what's hard too.
Yes. See, I think that's the thing. Like again, to go back to John Wick, when you watch the first movie, and I think the filmmakers have even said this. Like they're like, we know it sucks to kill a dog on screen, and nobody wants to see that. But if you kill the dog and you're still sitting in the theaters, as an audience member, the only thing you want to see is those people get absolutely obliterated.
Yeah.
So you are on our side for the rest of the movie. All we had to do was kill that dog. All we had to do. But you know what I mean?
No,
it's like that is the key. And in this movie, like I thought when it started, I thought this is interesting.
Yeah.
Because it starts and we're from a perspective of someone we don't know. He pulls into this vineyard and we go through and we see all of this carnage. And it's really brutal stuff. And then we go downstairs and Denzel is there. And he's just sitting there and he's like, I'm ready to equalize and I'm going to equalize. He does, he kills all these people. What I thought, you set up this premise. I think you do, you then do like a flashback of how he got there.
Okay.
And you make that's like the final scene of the movie.
Okay.
Because I get starting it here and I don't think that that's bad. It's just, I do think you don't see what these bad guys do, and it's just implied.
Yeah.
And I really don't think that's enough for the punishment that he puts on these people. And so if you saw this carnage and then you're like, whoa, it's the Equalizer, and then it's like 1 week earlier. Or something like that, I just feel like then you could show these guys be really terrible, and then you could see that, and then you're like laughing maniacally as he's, murdering these people and having fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's just an off-the-cuff suggestion.
Yeah.
But it was a fun way to start the Equalizer.
Yeah.
Um,
For how ugly it looked.
yeah. It was just so different from what I,
but he shoots a guy in his butt, and then shoots him in the head.
Yeah, he does do that.
And then he goes outside.
And this little boy shoots him.
And a boy shoots him. And then Denzel had the weirdest reaction to it, where he's shocked that he was hit at all.
Yeah.
And stumbles, falls down, and then puts his pistol
to his head.
And it sounds like he probably didn't, but it sounds like he clicked it. Like he tried killing himself.
We watched it twice, and his finger doesn't move, but there is a clicking sound.
Click.
So I'm not sure what they were trying to get across there.
This whole movie, Denzel looks like he looks older than he is.
Yeah.
And this is going to sound terrible, but it looks like he forgot to take his medication. It looks, it's not a good look.
It's a little odd. I mean, he is.
It's a type of helpless that's not good for the movie.
No. Yes. Well, and so like I thought, I guess when this movie then moves to him being in Italy and he's like living there, it's taking a long time to get off the ground, which all these movies do, but this one it seemed like especially. Like he's just like walking around the town trying to recover, and he's like out of breath a lot. And this is the first time we've ever seen him like injured or hurt really in any way that actually affected him. And so I kind of thought, hey, maybe this movie. So he sits at a cafe, he orders tea, and this woman says, people don't order tea. It's for British people, okay? And she gives him a cup of coffee. And so he drinks it, and then he goes up these steps, and there's this old woman. He's going really fast, and she's much older than him, and she says, move slower. And I thought that maybe the thesis of this movie, which if they went all the way and kind of like forgot about the mob and it was just him like hanging out, I think I would have liked this. I thought the movie was about like growing older in a place that you don't understand and learning that you're not the person you used to be.
Okay.
Now that's maybe too big of an idea for the Equalizer.
Apparently.
But I kind of feel like they're setting that up in this whole sequence where it's like he's an old man now. He's somewhere that's foreign to him, and now he has to learn how to adjust.
Or like, what if maybe this is a terrible idea? I don't really like this, but throughout the movie, as he's recovering, and the whole thing is posed of, are you a good man or a bad man?
Yeah.
And he doesn't know. And while he's recovering, he's like, well, she actually, they are kind of doing it. He's reflecting on what he just did.
Yeah.
He just killed like 15 people.
Uh-huh.
And he does not feel like a good person.
Yeah.
He shouldn't.
Right.
And the movie's just kind of about him reflecting on what he's done. That sounds pretty boring. I will give it that. But
like at the end of the day, you have to make an Equalizer movie.
Yeah.
But it does feel like maybe he reflects. I mean, we see his Equalizer vision in the sequence, and we get to like replay from his POV him just like murdering all these people, and there is part of me like combining your idea that like, okay, there's a mob here, maybe he goes, am I a good man or a bad man? And he goes to like a priest or something there, and he's like, I've been a bad man my whole life, but there's this problem here. How do I solve it? I want to be a good man.
Yep.
And then he goes like Gran Torino at the end, where he's like, the only way to do it is to sacrifice myself, and then I'll be a good man. Maybe something like that.
Yeah, like that's what he gets to.
But no, it's like, let me sadistically poison this man, a la Jigsaw, and let him like puke all over the place while he's walking around the town in a way that I felt like was so gross.
Yeah.
Like so gross. He's puking everywhere.
Well, yeah. They at least show that guy be a bad person a few times.
They do, but they've left, just like in the last movie, him and Pedro Pascal had this conversation where Pedro's like, there's no good and evil, there's just shit people do.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it just seems like in the last two movies, with the Pedro Pascal conversation and the good man, bad man thing, they're just kind of saying, hey, these are ideas, and then not really exploring them.
Yeah. It's half-assed.
Yes. But all of this to say, I think this movie made me realize that I do want to see a David Lean Summertime Denzel starring with you said Viola Davis, which I think is a good pick. David Lean's the movie Summertime with Katharine Hepburn that we watched.
Oh.
Just a Denzel and Viola, Viola in Italy or whatever. Just kind of hanging out.
He wanted a vacation there, so just do it in Italy.
I know. I don't know why he didn't just do it. So that's a movie I would really enjoy watching.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a little color could be added. That could be something.
Mm-hmm. Just bump up that saturation.
Bump it up. So then he hears this man getting beaten up.
The guy that sells
fish market. Yeah. There's someone at our door.
Just don't answer it. Don't answer it. We don't know who it is.
Yeah.
It's locked.
Yeah.
Like someone coming back to try and sell us something else. Does anyone else get as many door-to-door salesmen as our street does?
We get it all the time.
It's insane.
And well, actually, I don't want to describe
and you know what's
our house,
interesting?
but
It's never been religious, from my experience.
No, I've never had like Jehovah's Witnesses or anything.
Never. It might be them today.
Could be. So man gets beaten up, and then there is it's like, but he's too weak to do anything about it. I kind of like this. I kind of like this scene where it's like
the guy's just shaking him down.
Well, just how Denzel's like sitting there and
watching it,
watching, but he can't do anything right now. We've just never seen the Equalizer not be able to equalize.
One thing I think this movie does well is they keep that dose of slice of life in here, and he's forced to slow down as well because of his injury. That I feel like they do allow plenty of time of the town accepting him as a local.
They do.
And then it gives him cause to like fight for them. I mean, doing what he did, I think those people should like excommunicate him.
Yeah, excommunicado.
But I think that pacing was done well.
Yeah.
I mean, it was more boring than the last movie. But I think part of it was because there was nothing good to look at.
I know.
We're in Sicily, and it's like, you're going to make none of this look good?
I do think that's the thing, because like I said, I want to see this movie. Like I want this movie to have no action, and it's Denzel chilling out, but it doesn't look good.
Now, are they trying to go for like, it's a town that's like ravaged by the mob? So it's like all sad here.
No, this is just boilerplate. Like, we're making an action movie. This is what they
Yeah.
look like. That's all this is.
Yeah.
I think that'd be them overthinking it.
Yeah.
So then the bad guys shake down a hotel, and they kick out everyone in the hotel.
They're trying to buy the building to make a hotel.
And then this guy in a wheelchair commits suicide, and it just
throws himself out the window.
It just struck me as I don't have necessarily a nuance to this. It just struck me as like, that's a little too far. Well, it just felt a little too gross to me.
I agree. But in a way, that shot was interesting, where you show the guy in the wheelchair seemingly watching TV but eavesdropping on the conversation. Seems like the mafia's meeting with the people who own the building or something.
Yeah.
And they're basically like, I'm sorry, we just can't, because all these people would lose their homes. We just are not going to do it. And then, but when the guy's leaving, there's all these people moving out. So like the mafia is just telling him to leave anyway, I guess. And it's just, we weren't learning anything about this man in the wheelchair. And then he just throws himself out the window.
Yeah, it's a little...
It was too... I think it was taking advantage of that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And so then Roy from The Office shows up. And then we have this note that I wrote, which is F-U-R-E. Fure. But not pronounced like that. And I don't know what that word means. I don't know why I wrote that. Maybe it meant...
Roy from The Office shows up. Well, first of all, at a certain point, Denzel... You got to turn down the thing on your phone.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Denzel calls the CIA and gets Dakota Fanning and reports the stuff in the villa.
Yeah.
Reports the drug activity, selling stuff.
Right.
And then so he tips them off. They go to the villa. They see all the carnage, and they're now on the case of like, who did this? And that leads Dakota to tracing who called her, finding Denzel, while Roy is continuing to just, I don't know, investigate what's happening. Every time that they were brought on screen, I completely shut down because it was all exposition, and I've already said, like, I have a hard time paying attention to that stuff because I just don't care. I don't care about the CIA. I don't care about the drug syndicates doing stuff and I don't care. So anytime he said something, I'm just like, is he doing a good job or a bad job? I don't think he's doing a bad job. I think he was hired.
It's very like Law and Order, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's nothing interesting about it.
Yeah, and the acting style is even like that level. Yeah. So it's just not. It doesn't feel like a movie, that I would want to see.
Yeah.
Then okay, Denzel's getting in with the town. You already mentioned that. He goes not on a date. I don't think it's technically a date with the girl, but she takes him around.
On him, but I'm glad that they don't go further with it. But basically, it's like this person's being friendly to him, showing him more of the town, the people, and then there's a little montage of him like assimilating, like really becoming part of it.
Yeah.
And like that old lady gives him a lemon for his tea.
Yeah, which is very sweet.
And the other lady is like, that means that you've been accepted. Like the Nona's like you now.
And then that's when Dakota Fanning catches up to him.
Yeah.
Meets him, and they have like a tete-a-tete to each other. I don't know if that's correct. And
they have a touchette.
He says touchette to her. Touchette. What? I've never heard anyone pronounce it that way.
No.
And he has this great, because it's just funny because the last two movies I keep saying, like, he's basically bringing an Oscar caliber performance to this little.
This movie had us concerned for him.
And this one is like, oh man, somebody let him off the leash or something. Something is going on that's weird. But he does this thing.
You know what, Micah? He's in vacation mode.
That's what it is. He's not working. He's dunking his tea bag, and he says something like, and he dunks it every time.
I don't know what you're talking about. Something.
Yeah, like every syllable he's dunking it, and it's like 1 or 2 would have been good, 3 or 4 maybe, but 7 or 8? That's crazy.
And it's more of just like, I don't care what they're talking about, but basically she lets on like, I know who you are.
Yeah.
And you're kind of a person of interest right now.
Yeah.
Pretty quick after that, she tells him, you're not a person of interest anymore, but you are an interesting person. And
which I didn't understand how they wouldn't want to like take this guy in, but whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. But he's kind of helping her
Yeah.
with the case. Like, you should be looking at this, and it's like not. I know I'm getting nitpicky in this area, but the stuff he says, it's like I think she's been trained on. Like, she should know that.
Yeah.
That's like
Yeah.
it feels second nature, but it's probably because I've seen a lot of these types of movies
Yeah.
that is what you should do. But then she just keeps saying like, why me? And I'm like, who cares about you? You're not special.
Yeah.
You're not equalizing anything. Get off the screen. That's how it felt.
Then we go to a dinner with the cop, and the cop's family keeps getting threatened by the mob.
Yeah.
And
Because he's trying to be an honest police officer.
yeah.
Because he's
just
like
can't do it.
investigating the fire.
Yeah, and tracks down like their van.
Yeah.
And so then Denzel's in the restaurant,
Mm-hmm.
and
This scene was good.
This scene was the best.
This was the best scene.
This was the best scene. Yeah.
Yeah.
This scene I really like. This was like, okay, now we're equalizing again.
Yeah.
Where like everyone in the restaurant's quiet, and these guys are just making a big show. And then they kind of notice Denzel, and they're like, "What's your deal, man? You watching us here?" And he's like, "Well, I can't really not pay attention to you. You make yourself so obvious."
Yeah.
And then he kind of says, like, "Here's what's gonna happen. If you don't do
I
this,
hit you. There's gonna be two sounds: me hitting you, you hitting the floor."
yeah, basically." And the guy's like, "Are you warning me?" And he says, "I'm preparing you,"
Mhm.
which that's ultimate dad mode line.
Mhm.
Like, I'm going to be saying that.
Mhm.
Imagine Talia has her first boyfriend, and I say, "I'm not warning you. I'm preparing you." Just kidding. I won't be like that. But I do want to use that in real context at some point,
Mhm.
sometime. And then, so that scene's great. Love it. Then he just proceeds to go outside and really, really murder this guy.
I do in some ways interesting that this like second in command flying off the handle character is killed very quickly.
Yeah.
It's usually that's not what you expect.
Yeah, no, it was kind of fun. I was like surprised that he got killed so early.
Yeah. And so but yeah, the way that they're all killed, it's like I in a way I give him the car thing.
Uh-huh.
Because that you can make it look like an accident.
Yeah.
But the others, like, he just like stabbed the guy. Right?
I know.
Oh, he broke his arm
Yeah.
and then stabbed him.
Which you thought for a second that he stabbed himself with his bone broken arm.
Yeah.
Which would have been a whole new level of equalizing.
But I mean, he did shove a gun through someone's eye,
and
that person was still alive while
know.
he was shooting through that person's head to another person.
I wonder, you would have to have like the strength of like the Hulk to
Right?
be able to like smash a
Right?
gun through someone's face. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Or maybe the person is like an overripe peach and they're just really
Ew.
mushy.
Gross.
So he does that. Then Dakota's closing in on the case. And there's like this weird scene where there's these Italian police, and maybe I missed something. I felt like I was paying good attention though. These Italian police go into this area and they're killing like a bunch of unarmed people that are clearly bad guys. But there was like a guy on the toilet and they just shot through the door.
But some people surrendered and they didn't shoot them.
But there was
I kind of feel like that was the Italian police working with the CIA, and they cracked down on some guy, like FBI most wanted people, part of this drug syndicate. And then the next scene, more or less, was her meeting with the head of the police and handing them those files.
Right.
And it wasn't like, who can we talk to?
Yeah, and he like throws one away, and so she knows to talk to that one.
Yeah.
It's just
it was confusing.
It's a little odd to me, and it feels like if you're not making a point about this, why are you showing them kill people who don't even have guns?
Yeah.
Like, that's weird to me.
Yeah.
And then it's like not a point in the movie. You know, it's just weird little details like that you're just like, was this just a pickup shot or something? I don't understand.
Something that I don't like either about this movie. It's kind of like the first movie. It's too big.
Mm-hmm.
I know the second movie that movie still felt small. It was just about history, about the history he had with people. But although we never uncovered why those people were murdered in the beginning of the movie.
Well, I'm sure we just missed it. Yeah.
The first two
Callback.
movies are too big. And what I don't like about this one, okay, it's set in Italy. Cool. Setting change. That's great. But then it's like, why are the CIA involved? What is their interest in this? Because what we know is the Middle East is trafficking guns through Italy and spreading it across Europe. And one way they're smuggling it is in wine bottles.
Drugs, not guns.
Sorry, drugs. Probably guns.
But
drugs.
I think you missed the plot of it, though.
Of why the CIA would be interested?
Well, because it's a terrorism attack.
Yeah, I know it's a terrorism thing, but I just like it.
Because
I think part of me is like, just let the Italians take care of it. It's in their country. Yeah. Why are we up in their business with this?
Because Dakota said yes.
But I know it's an international crime.
Yeah.
But it's an international crime committed against Italy.
Yeah.
But again,
well, that part
I don't know how any of it works. I don't know how the CIA works. I don't like the CIA. So like
you said that on record? Why don't you like the CIA?
They're bad.
Yeah. They do some bad stuff.
They've done some really bad stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, but what branch of the government hasn't? Anyway, so she talks to one guy and gets information about something, and then the head of the Italian police goes to the head of the mafia and is warning him that the CIA are on them, basically. And this guy's like, I'm warning my brother, like, you need to be doing your job. Mm-hmm. I'll do my job, you do your job. And while I'm at it, I'll chop your hand off to really teach you a lesson.
This was gnarly, too.
Yeah.
And then the guy just has his hand chopped off, and it's like in an ice bucket, and they take him to the hospital. Mm-hmm. It's just this movie's just a little too much, even though these movies are pretty grody. It's just kind of funny that this movie, to me, like crosses a line a little bit.
Yeah.
So then, and I wrote, maybe I said this earlier, but movies are always at odd with each other because of the violence, because you have all this emotional connection with people trying to help them, and then like this extreme serial killer level violence.
I know.
So they don't really
mafia cutting off a guy's hand. Okay.
Yeah. This is just where I put the note.
But yeah.
Because then the guys are like, bring us Bob McCall. We want him.
I feel like this end part of the movie comes so fast. The pacing's a little strange.
It was weird. I didn't realize we were at the end of the movie.
The mafia comes back to the small town, and they're going to kill that police officer if the guy who killed that guy's brother doesn't step forward. Yeah. So then Denzel steps forward with 2 guns in his hands. And then sets them down.
Yeah, I didn't really get like, why didn't they just kill him right there?
The town is like, kill me if you're gonna kill him. Like, he's one of us. It was me. Yeah, that kind of thing. And then
real Guy Fawkes moment.
And then what happened?
I think. And then it's like the end of the movie, and it just felt like it wasn't the end of the movie.
End?
They're just like, well, we're gonna get you, we're gonna kill you. But we're not going to do it right now while everyone's phone is out.
So we're going to go to bed.
Yeah.
Which gives the Equalizer perfect amount of time. You see what this movie's also missing is the preparation. That's like half the fun sometimes of the Home Alone style things, is seeing him prepare. The second movie didn't even do it. Hardly. The first movie is the only, with the last sequence, showed him preparing everything.
I know. You got to show the preparation.
It's fun.
Or at least have a scene where Michael Jordan cutout is tricking people into thinking that you're home when you're not.
Exactly.
Yeah, you have to have one of those two things.
Or the uncle in the shower.
Yeah.
I want to.
I don't remember that. I just said, like I remembered, but I don't.
But yeah, so he's just magically in the home, killing them, killing all the guys.
Yeah, and there's a moment where it's like, okay, maybe you're getting at something, where he's killing these guys really brutally, and then it's cutting to the art in the room. Yeah. It's almost like you're committing these atrocities in front of some of the most beautiful things in the world. But I don't know if they really thought of it.
I don't think they thought about it.
And then there's also like a stained glass window that's getting blood on it. So it's like, okay, this is like maybe religious, and you're like staining religion here and stuff like that. But then it shatters through, and you're like, no, I think they just wanted a cool shot.
Well, I think if you were to do that, I think the more interesting thing would be not just beautiful art, but religious art.
Yeah.
Because like he spends time in a church and talking to a priest, reckoning with if he's good or bad. So he seems to be some kind of man of faith, So if this house was filled with like religious art, and it was like witnessing what he was doing, then that stained glass window shatters, and it's like it's like he's choosing, like you kind of said earlier, it's like he's choosing to be bad one more time.
Yeah, there's something there.
Yeah.
But instead, he just kills the guy by poisoning him, and he ties
Well,
him
he makes
up.
him overdose on his own
And he's
drugs.
just puking everywhere, and it was so gross.
It was really
It
gross.
was really disgusting.
And just like the guy was just walking through the streets, stumbling around, high as heck. And Denzel's just slowly sauntering behind him, lets him get hit by a car,
Right.
and lets him get back up and continue his pace.
Yeah.
And then he falls down dead.
Uh-huh.
And then he just keeps walking, Denzel. And it's like, you let him get hit by a car, now those people have to deal with this?
Yeah.
That sucks.
I don't. Yeah, it's kind of weird, and then it's like intercutting between like this holy like ceremony, like parade, and I just felt like, okay, the movie's trying to do like a Godfather ending where it's montaging like the violence with the religious act, and I was like, Godfather, you ain't.
Yeah.
Like this is not. Come on.
Yeah.
And there was
I
no
just
like
don't think the movie
significance
earned
given to that.
that big of a showdown, that gruesome of a showdown.
No, and then it's just kind of like over, and he's like, found my people. Dakota brings the pension back to the guy that started the whole thing, and they didn't even have a subplot about a Holocaust survivor reuniting with his sister. So,
like what the heck?
This movie is not as good.
Mm-hmm.
Did we do it?
I think we did it.
We did it. Well, I bet you're wondering what our rankings of the movies are, and that's pretty easy.
Yeah.
Number 1 best is Equalizer 2. Number 2 second best is Equalizer. Number 3 worst is Equalizer 3.
Yeah. What I say, this one was going to be bad.
You did. On Patreon, I think we have Top Gun Maverick still hanging out there, soon to be The Shining. So head over there. And now we have an exciting update for all of you. This is getting really hard to do with Baby. And we love Baby, and we love podcasts, and we love movies, but it's getting real hard. So we're doing this exciting update, which is we're going to have to do every other week.
Mm-hmm.
This week it came to a head, and we were like, I don't know how we're going to be able to keep this up. So we're going to try that out. Still monthly on Patreon. And, let us know what you think of the new format. We probably won't be going back to full unless, we got like 500 patrons and we're able to pay all our bills and quit our jobs.
Yeah.
If that happens... Oh man, we can do a lot more episodes.
Yeah.
But oh boy, it's getting tough. It's getting tough out there. So thanks for listening.
Mm-hmm.
Next week, we're going to try, or in 2 weeks, we're going to try to tackle the Ty West Pearl X trilogy.
We're going every other week, and this is how we're going to spend our time.
Yeah. Unless should we change the trilogy one more time?
No, remember we talked about if we are like hating the X, we'll just watch the other thing.
Yeah, that's true. So thanks for listening. We appreciate you guys, and
thank you.
Yeah, my live album "Go Fire Yourself" is coming out soon, so stay tuned for that. Bye.
Bye.